Hello, this is Impermanence. Welcome to the dawn of the final day. Banlist is tomorrow at the time of recording this and such. I just wanted to make a quick video just talking about like what cards that I personally want to see taken off the list, what cards I want to see banned personally, right? Depending on how the ban list goes, it can only be good or bad. There is no in between. And because of that, Konami has to hit it out of the ballpark for this to be a good ban list. Me, I just want personal stuff that I want banned or get more copies of and all that on this list. So I got a couple of cards here to talk about real quick. First and foremost, Miscellaneous Saurus, Dino Decks. Please, we just like 2 copies. I'm fine with 2 copies. It's 3 in the OCG. Hasn't really done much and all that, even with the Transcendosaurus stuff. Right, I personally think that the Dino decks really need it because of how the game is currently right now. There are cards that if your deck doesn't have a 1-card starter, your deck is going to struggle a lot. Miscellaneous Swords helps with the Dino stuff and all that, of course, and all that, right? I definitely would like to see 2 copies, 3, but I'm be hoping if it gets to 3, just another copy and all that would be great. And all that, right? Dino decks really need it because they really don't have a true 1-card starter and all that, right? Soul Eating Oviraptor can only do so much and all that. Next up, I do have Prank Kids Meow Meow Moo. Now everyone's wondering, oh no, Meow Meow Moo, we can't have this one back, but understand that how the game has progressed to this point, right? With its graveyard effect to cover the tribute effect for the Prank Kids monsters, both Battle Butler and Roaring Roaster, right? And all that, right? Having 2 Dark Holes and or 2 Harpy's Feather Dusters is fine if it's just at 1, of course, right? And all that. And with how great the recursion of decks that we have right now, they really don't care about the dark hole and all that. They can just they will just have a much better grind game and all that at this point. 1 Meow Meow won't be the end of the world and all that, of course, and all that. I do think that this definitely helped the deck when it came out significantly, and I do think it would help the deck right now, given that, well, Prank Kids can't really do much without the Link one. They have to rely on Instant Fusion or their Inarctic Field Spell, Pandemonium, of course, right, to start their plays and stuff like that. Meow Meow just at least helps that deck, and of course, and all that, right? And you probably won't have the greatest matchups with what the decks are going against right now. Next up, you have Wind-Up Carriers and Matey. And of course, this one's going to be crazy, but hear me out on this. Zenmady is in 3 at Master Duel. Understand this. Everyone's worried about the Hunter Loop, but you can't even do the Hunter Loop with 1 Zenmady. 1 Zenmady is perfectly fine. Right? Like, it's at this point, like, windups need a lot more than just Zenmady and Zen maintenance and all that stuff to even beat Rogue at best. This is a rank 3 spam strategy that loses to a lot of hand traps these days, and because of that, I don't think Zenmady will be the end of the world or will be the end of the ban list and all that stuff. It could definitely come back to 1, right? And of course, you would probably have to hit Hunter if it's and all that, I believe, because Hunter is banned in the OCG, but they do have Zenmady and all that. So just my thing, I think Zenmady can come back. Next up, Tidal, Dragon Ruler Waterfalls. I am including all the others, which is Blaster, Redox, and Tempest. I think the Dragon Rulers can come back to 2 or 3. I think with how the game is now is the fact that you have to banish 2, the minus yourself now is extremely rough because you get to banish 2 water and or dragon type monsters, right? That's cool, but you know, you're minusing yourself so much that you need other cards to progress through your combos and stuff like that. And of course, you know, you only get 1 effect per turn only once that turn and all that, right? And I think that the game state where it is now is just the Dragon Rules can come back and probably have like little to no impact and all that. It's far past their prime. I think they can come back, and it's just they can be nice to have in a nice alternate format and all that, but I think they won't even accomplish much when they come back. It'll be fine to come back. I think the worst one would probably be Redox and all that, but other than that, the Dragon Wars can come back to 2 and 3. I think it'll suffice. Next up, we have Summon Sorceress with the errata. It is confirmed that Summon Sorceress has gotten an errata and has been unbanned in the OCG, and it can come back. Definitely come back with the errata, of course, right? Errata, of course, hard locks you, I believe. Let me just check on that real quick. Okay, I have the errata right here. So, as it reads, the new errata right here. If this card is link summoned, you can special summon one monster from hand in defense position to an opponent's zone this card points to, but negate its effects. Then you can special summon one monster with the same type as that monster from your deck in defense, but also negate its effects. And if you do that, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn except monsters with the original type as that monster summoned from the deck. So no more shenanigans and all that, right? This card is fairly balanced now. You can do some crazy things, but now you're locked in that same type and all that, right? Summon a dragon, grab a dragon from your deck, you're locked in the dragons and all that, right? And with how the shenanigans stuff, I think Sorceress can come back to 1, right? Of course, with the errata and all that. Again, just won't be the end of the world, of course, and all that. With how the game is, like with how extra deck spaces are, can you really afford to make Summon Sorceress, right, and have her effect right here? And use it to its potential? Most likely not. Next up, I got Mathmech Circular. Mathmech Circular did not need to get hit for no reason like that, right? It was an unnecessary casualty during tier format, right, when Mathmech was 3rd or 4th best deck and all that. If you wanted to hit Mathmech, you probably wanted to give it to at least 1, right? But outright banning it is not necessary. It could come back to 3. Mathmech will still be okay as a rogue strategy, of course, in just the general cybers piles and stuff like that, right? Next up, we have Glow Bulb. Glow Bulb was a casualty because of Christian Hockey Firebrax and all that, right? It could probably come back. We keep Hockey Firebrax banned and all that. It has the once per duel effect, right? It's just and all that. Just that 1 is fine because, well, you're only going to play the 1, right? And all that. And with how some decks are doing their locks and stuff, right? It could just stay. It can just stay at 1. It won't have too much of an impact, right? Next up, Red Reboot. With the prevalence of trap decks and stuff like that, right? I think Red Reboot can come back to 1. I don't think that it should have been banned, right? I know this one's gonna be kind of the worst offender and all that, but the fact that with a lot of decks having their trap effects, with Labyrinth being the biggest case, right? Having deck devastation or Eradicator devastation virus, Labyrinth, hand ripping you 2 cards out of your hand, stuff like that, right? I think Red Reboot can come back to at least counteract that sort of interaction. And of course there are other cards like Infinite Impermanence, the new one Dominus Purge and stuff like that. I definitely think at least 1 would be fine to suffice and all that with this metagame, because it won't be a main deck staple. It'll just be in the side deck, right? Like a lot of cards, it won't have the best I guess, how would I say this, more like the best not topping, but more like you probably will have one of the better impacts, right, compared to, say, these other cards that I've been mentioning. And now I want to talk about cards I want to at least get hit, banned, limited, whatever. Get rid of them, because frankly, this is the kind of ban list that we need to address the bigger elephants in the room. First and foremost, Beatrice has got to go. I'm sorry, but sending any card from your deck to graveyard and all that, right? I'm sorry, but we don't want any FTKs. We don't want any shenanigans because of snake eyes and stuff like that. Beatrice has got to go. I'm sorry. She when she got unbanned originally, she wasn't that much purpose. And then Transaction Rollback came out, and then everyone was taking in like turn skip cards. And then there's an FTK now with Earthbound Release and Nightmare, the token generator one. Is just gotta get rid of her. I'm sorry, but Beatrice is for over welcomed her stay. She can go. Errata her to send one Burning Abyss card, and then she can come back. Next up, I'll be on the Sanctifier Dragon. I'm sorry. No one wants to get puppet locked anymore. This is just Brandon Expulsion on legs. Get rid of it, please. No one likes to deal with floodgates and all, a walking floodgate on deck and all that. Just get rid of it. Next up, Dimension Shifter. Dimension Shifter should be an obvious one. It creates unlike in game states where your opponent can't do anything on their turn when you drop Shifter, and then if you're able to OTK the next turn, well, it felt like your opponent just got cheated out of a game and all that, right? The meta has to come to the point where if your deck can't play under Shifter, right, Shifter's the problem, right? And the Shifter decks, right, there's a few of them, but I think they can they don't need the Shifter and all that, right? The most prevalent one would be, I think, Ritual Beasts, because they can play well under Shifter and all that. We don't want it still. Just get rid of it, please. Snake Eyes Flameburst Dragon. This is gonna be the weird hits because we want to get rid of Fiendsmith Snake Eye, right? And of course, because of that, we want to basically just hit Snake Eyes to the point where they can't be relevant anymore. Everyone is tired of this format. They're tired of Snake Eyes. They want to play something else. This is just boring Yu-Gi-Oh! And stuff like that, right? I think the hits should be to Flameburst Dragon, because then Ash and Oak won't be able to summon this from deck and all that. They can't. Flameburst Snake Eyes can't plus any more off of it, right? I think and all that, and it creates very bad fucking games if you're a Pendulum player and all that, right? Where they can just put this in one of your pen scale, put a monster in your pen scales, and then your pen scales are completely offline now. Just don't like that stuff. Don't like it. This is just terrible design right here. Next up, we have Appaloosa Above the Goddess. I think Appaloosa might be hit because they are been cracking down on the generic negates like Baron de Fleur and Borrelord Savage, where they were used outside of their designated archetypes per se and all that, right? Appaloosa being the generic negates and all that. She's got to go, unfortunately. As much as I love her, I think she is probably next on the chopping block, right? If your deck makes an Appaloosa and all that, right, your deck's probably not as good as it likes to be, right, and all that. Next up, we got Phantom Yubel, most recent card here on this list. As much as a Yubel enjoyer and all that, I do think Phantom Yubel is a cracked custom card that probably shouldn't have been printed and all that, of course. I don't think it needs to be banned per se. I probably would bring this down to 2 or 1 and all that, just lower the power levels of Yubel. There are probably other Yubel hits like, say, Nightmare Pain or Throne, of course. I think those are the ones that I would prioritize first and all that, right? Of course, the reason why it's cracked because it changes the effects, right? So this technically, I think, does affect unaffected monsters and all that, because you're just changing the effect, not affecting the monster itself. It's incredible, and I do think it should be hit as well. Snake Eye Ash to 1, please. Don't like it. Don't like it at all. Why does it do everything? Where's the locks? And of course, Popular itself. Ban it or give it a 1. And all that, right? Just get rid of it, please. I'm pretty sure that 99.9% of the players are tired of seeing Snake Eyes and all that. So please deal with it and get rid of it, please. Next up, we do have Wanted Seeker, Sinful of Spoils. I know it is confirmed with Diabell Star that it is getting the reprints and the Megatins this coming September. I think they can at least bring the power level down for the Diabell Star engine itself. just bring it down to at least 2 copies or 1. Keep the Bellstar to 3, and I think that would be perfectly fine because I know Konami's doing this lore stuff right now, but I do think that we need to tone things down, basically get a hard reset of the game just to make sure other decks can thrive and all that, right? Because come October, with the release of the Rage of the Abyss, we're going to see a lot more of this, and I don't want to. I don't think anyone wants to, of course. And yeah, I think that's all I really want. This is just like my general wish list and stuff like that. This is not what me thinking, oh, this is what everyone's going to hit. This is what they should hit, and a lot more and stuff like that. This is just my personal wish list because after playing at my locals and all that, right? It's just like, Jesus Christ, all this stuff. Why is this stuff so overtuned and all that, right? Like, the deck itself is just overtuned, and it's just not, it doesn't feel right that you can do this stuff. So yeah, I think this is just my personal wish list. Again, this is just what I personally want to see in the business. Of course, Konami can just throw the curveball and do a lot more, a lot less. We don't know until tomorrow. So yeah, thank you guys all for watching and listening to me. I will see you next time.